As mentioned in previous emails, EdgeMicro gives you the ability to actually import your product information. It gives you a little more visibility when you're reading tags, cycle counts, when you're trying to find tags and you can sort by different attributes. You can add those items in there without importing from a CSV file by manually, creating descriptors and adding assets. This video is just going to show a little bit more about the files and a few things that are important if you are going to import a asset file or a UPC G10 file. I have a few that are already saved here. I'm just browsing to via USB to the drive here of my EdgeMicro, the SD card of the device. And inside of EdgeMicro folder, there's an import folder, which I have 3 kind of default sample files in there. And later on in the video, I'll show you output after you do reading a bunch of tags. Right now that's empty, what that will look like. So if you choose to import files with your product information, a couple things you just want to keep that you need to know. If you're bringing in asset data, so if you go over here and you say, I want to manage assets, or if you manage G10. So if I choose assets, you have to make sure, and this is the same file, one's in Excel and the other one's in Notepad++. You have to make sure you have a column called asset ID, just like that. So make sure that one of your columns has that. The other columns could be any descriptors, any information you want, along with the actual data underneath it. This is the same file listed up here, same information, obviously. Again, make sure that asset ID is a column that is important. That's how it knows what the asset ID is, and it merges in with the EdgeMicro. If it's not there, it will not import. If you're importing a G10 or UPC, you need to have a column. Doesn't have to be the first column, but it has to be this UPC-12, okay? And then have your UPC listed. I show this in Notepad++ because if I open up this file in Excel tries to be overly clever with the UPC data. It suppresses the 0 and it changes some of the numbers around. So this is just one of the tools that I use for UPC data. Okay, so make sure you have a column that says UPC-12 if you're going to import G10s, or asset ID if you're going to import assets. Obviously, just like assets, you can have your own descriptions, or what we call descriptors, in your SG10 data. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll leave that open. And let's manage assets. Okay, so I can sit here and manually add assets, click on this and type things in, but we're going to import, since we have a CSV file out there that has everything we want in it. And you can have thousands of records in this CSV file. Mine just has those 3. I'm going to click and hold. I can append, I can add this data to an existing file that I already have out there, or I've already saved on my EdgeMicro device. So maybe I've got some new products. I already have 1,000 loaded and I got 5 new ones. I would just append those on here. Or maybe I'm just going to replace. It doesn't matter which I choose because this is all fresh anyway. I'll just choose replace. You'll get a warning message in this case. It's going to delete anything that you have out there. That's fine for me. You may want to append on yours. There are my 3 fields in there. If I click on hold on any of these assets, choose edit, you'll see individual fields: type, manufacturer size, type, manufacturer size, and then further down is country code underneath the keyboard. Okay, but again, important that to have this asset ID field, which is right here, so it knows what to do. All right, and you can, while you're in this, you can update things and save it. You can change descriptions and whatnot, and you can still add other ones. We can do the same thing for SG10. So if I come out of here, go back to the main menu, manage G10s, and I don't have any in here. Again, I can manually add anything that I want. I don't even have to add products if I don't want to. I can just go ahead and start scanning things and save them. Just this whole idea of bringing them in gives you a little bit more information. So same as the assets, I can import from a CSV file. In this case, I'm going to choose this UPC file, which is this one right here, which will bring in description, size, color, and SKU along with these 3 products. So I'll hold on this. I could append or replace This is separate than the asset one. So the asset file is off to the side. I can just go ahead and I could say replace on this one as well. It doesn't matter, or pen. I don't have any GTINs in there right now. But just like the other stuff, if I were to click and hold, these should be my running shoes, I think. Edit. Yeah, my running shoes, the size and all that. It's the same information got brought right in there. There's my UPC. So it's important that UPC-12 is a column in the file that you bring in. All right. So next we're going to talk about exporting like a bunch of read information. So let me close these import files for now because we don't really need them. I'll just bring this over. And let's set it up to read. Okay, so we got my read tag list. And if I were to start reading now, any of these tags, I'd get a bunch of extra information, what I consider extra information. Now you may want it. So you get the set up in the configure save file layout. So this is something that you'll be using all the time. You can actually set this up like what information is important to you. Okay, so and you can go through here. You see there's lots of different values, including at the bottom the extra values that we've brought in just recently. Look at all these. There's a ton of them. So some of these you won't care about. So what you can do is just turn off the ones you don't want. By turning off, you just uncheck them. As soon as I uncheck these, that means they will not be saved in the output file, like the asset type or the location reference and so on. Again, there's lots of these. The manufacturer of the chip, I don't need that. I don't need that information, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and make some changes to this. So what I've done is I've just loaded just the GTIN information and I've turned off a ton of these other fields you can see down at the bottom here. So the information I care about is right here. I want the timestamp, I want the UPC, these special fields of description, size, color. Maybe I want the skew to be further up. I can just move these things up. Make that the first field if I wanted to, so that's how it will show up in my data. Then I just choose save. And now when I scan my information, I scan my inventory, and I create a file, that's the file that's going to be created. It'll be with those fields in it. So let's read some tags. So from the read tag list, and all the stuff I'm showing, you set it once and then you don't have to do it anymore. I can go into settings here, and I already have it selected for unknown, just disregard unknown stuff, which is fine. So it's only going to know those known fields, the power level and all that we talked about before. So if I just choose start, it's going to read my tags. I've got two of this particular tag with different serial numbers. Then I can save it. Call file. Oops, switching keyboards. PC, about that. Okay. It appended the date and time to it. So a file just got created. We'll look at that in a minute, but let's just go back for a moment and see what is that file type. Okay, so when I went in here to configure the save file layout, I selected the different columns that I wanted that were meaningful to me. Another thing that I could select from the settings tab inside here is the file type itself. So I chose CSV that time. Let's just do the same thing. I'll do it as text. So it'll create a text file. I'll go back and just save all this. And I'll do another read. So I'm going to end up just having 3 files, just different types. So there's the same data. Hit stop. Let me save this one, just so you can see the different file types. File 2 UPC. That's going to be the text one. And then one last change here quickly, just so you can see it. I'll make a JSON one. Still going to be all the same. Oops. Going to be all the same data in there, just in different formats. So that's JSON. Okay. Okay. And read tag list. Start. Stop. And let me save this to file. File 3 UPC. That'll be JSON. So let's take a look at those 3 files we just made. Let me bring this over. And I'm still browsing. This is the actual SD card of the EdgeMicro device. If I go back into EdgeMicro folder, this time if I look at output, I will see the 3 files I made: CSV, text, and JSON. So if we were to look at these 3 files, here I got them in, let me move this over here. I have them, all 3 of them here in Notepad++. Here's the CSV file. Everything's formatted the way we said, SKU, right? That was the first one, timestamp, and the UPC number, description, size, color. The time is all based off of the internet time. Here's the UPC, the text file. Looks very similar to the CSV file. And here's the JSON, which is a little bit longer. It's in JSON format. If I go into a JSON viewer and I paste that JSON in there and I choose to format it, you'll see the 4 tags are listed here with their descriptors and everything. Okay, and you can import all this information however you like into your application. And that's all I planned on showing for this video. Thanks.